So let's look at long division. A couple of vocab words for you before we get started. The dividend is the number that we're dividing. So that will be under the bracket. And we're going to be dividing by the divisor over here. Sometimes you'll hear teachers say, how many times can the divisor go into the dividend? And we will end up with our quotient, which is going to be our answer. Now this video is assuming that you have some understanding of long division. This is more for practice. If you have never done long division, you probably don't want to start here. There'll be other videos for you. Alright, so long division steps. Miss Moore has taught me well. She has taught me this saying: does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? Now as you work, it's real easy to get lost. I would highly recommend writing out, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? And then going back to your list consistently. D, we're going to divide, then we're going to multiply, then we're going to subtract, we will check, and then we will bring down. Okay, so let's divide. Can 3 go into 2, or can 2 be divided by 3 evenly? It cannot, because 2 is less than 3. You'd end up with 2/3, and we're working with whole numbers here. So 3 cannot go into 2. Let's look. Can 3 go into 26? It can. And if you ever get stuck on how many times it can go in, don't be afraid to write out your fact family like I've done on the top. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hold up. 27. That's too much. Back up. So it could go in 8 times. Now, location is everything with long division. If you'll notice, I put that above the 6 because it doesn't go into 2 8 times, it goes into 26. So take a moment, make sure that your problem is lined up and that the 8 is above the 6. Okay, so I've divided. Next, let's multiply. 8 times 6 is 24. I'll go back to my list. Next, I'm going to subtract. I get 2. Next, I'll bring down. That'll be 27. So I've brought down the 7. So when you get to the bottom here, you repeat. So I'll draw my curvy arrow to show that I'm going to repeat right up here. Ooh, that's a pretty bad curvy arrow. Sorry about that. All right, so we're going to divide. How many times can 3 go into 27? If you wrote out your 3's, that'll be easy enough for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nailed it. Goes in 9 times. 9 times 3 is 27. I multiplied, now I'm going to subtract. 0. Now there's no more places to bring down, so that tells me I am finished. I also have a 0 here, so I have no remainder. So 267 divided by 3 is 89. Moving right along. New problem. I would write out the steps again if you can't see them. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? Step 1, let's divide. 4 into 6. It can go in at least once, because 4 is smaller. Let's count by 4's. 4, 8. Oh, too much. So we're going to put a 1. I've divided. Now let's multiply. 1 times 4, 4. I've multiplied. Let's subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. Check. 2 is less than 4. We're in good shape. I will now bring down the 0. Back to the top. Let's see if I can get this curvy arrow this time. Oh, that's better. Okay. Dividing 20 divided by 4, that'll be 5. 5 times 4, I'm on the multiply step. 5 times 4, 20. Subtracting. 0. Check. 0 is less than 4. Bring down a 0. 0. Now, here's an interesting dilemma. 4 does not go into 0. But since we're in the ones place now, we need to put something here. How many times could 4 go into 0? It can't, right? Or it goes in 0 times, so I'll put a 0. 0 times 4, 0. I multiplied, now I'm on subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. There's no more places, so we know we're finished. Or another way to say that is we also have a remainder of 0. But normally we don't say it that way, we just don't even mention the remainder. Alright, we're on a roll. Next up, let me write the steps out. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? As you can tell, the steps are very important to this process. Can 8 go into 3? It cannot. That would be 3/8, and we're only interested in whole numbers. I've seen this trick before, just to let you know that you've checked that. Now let's see if we could put 8 into 36. One tip that I would do, you could always write out your 8s, but this time let's count by 8s. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Whoop, too much. So back up to 4. It goes in 4 times. Multiply 4 times 8 is 32. Subtract 4. Check. 4 is less than 8, so we're in good shape. If this was bigger, like say if this was 16, you would know that up here, 8 should be able to go into that number that you've chosen more. Or another way to say that, probably a little easier to understand, if this number down here, that after subtracting, is bigger than your divisor, something's wrong. Alright, so let's see, bring down 0. How many times can 8 go into 40? If you're a fan of the 5s, you probably know that right away. 5. If not, you could always count by your 8s. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. 5 times 8, 40. Subtract 0. So 360 divided by 8 is 45. Now we get some speed going here. 203 divided by 7. Can 7 go into 2? It can't. You'd end up with 2/7, and that's not a whole number. Can 7 go into 20? Yes. Count by our 7s. 7, 14, 21. Whoop! Too much. So let's do 2. 2 times 7, 14. Subtract. I got so excited about long division, I forgot to write out our steps. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? So I've multiplied. Now I'm ready to subtract. 20 minus 14 is 6. Check. 6 is less than 7, so we're good to go. Bring down the 3. If you're a fan of the 9s fact family like I am, you'll know this one right away. But let's pretend we don't. If you don't, I would highly recommend writing out your 7s. 28. Eventually, hopefully you have all this memorized, but in the meantime, don't be afraid to write out your thoughts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 9 times. 9 times 7, I'm on multiply. 9 times 7 is 63. Subtract 0. So we have a remainder of 0. So you could say 203 divided by 7 is 29. I'm going pretty fast at this point. Don't be afraid to pause. 612 divided by 9. Let's check it out. No problem is scary if you know the steps. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? Can 9 go into 6? No, that'd be 6/9, not a whole number. Can it go into 61? It can, but now let's try to figure out how many times it can. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63. Whoop! I got to 63. That's too much. So back up. It could go in 6 times. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and write out your 9s. 6 times 9 is 54. So I've divided, I've multiplied. Oh, I haven't subtracted yet. 61 minus 54. If you need to borrow, it's fine. 11 minus 4, 7. And then we're going to bring down the 2. How many times can 9 go into 72? I want to stop here for just a second and point out this is why your teachers are always on you to know your fact families. If you know your 9s, you would know that 8 times 9 is 72, so I'll put the 8 up here. I've divided, let's multiply. 8 times 9, 72. That's a pretty bad equal sign, sorry about that. Subtract, I get 0. Check, good to go. There's no more digits up here, so we are finished. 612 divided by 9 is 68. All right, so let's look at 490 divided by 5. 5 cannot go into 4, but it can go into 49. But the question is how many times? Here's how I would think about this one. 10 times 5 is 50. So that's too much. I know 10 is too much. Let's think about 9. 9 times 5 is 45. So that'll work. 45. Oh, I forgot the steps. I'm hoping if you're watching at home, you are screaming at your computer monitor. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? I have divided, then I multiplied. Let's subtract. 4. Check. 4 is less than 5. I'm in good shape. Bring down the 0. How many times can 5 go into 40? 8. If you don't believe me, write out your 5s. 8 times 5 is 40. 40 minus 40 is 0. 7 divided by 59, or let me try that one more time, sorry. 595 divided by 7, let's check it out. 7 cannot go into 5. Alright, what about 59? Let's see. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 8 is 56. But if you don't know that, you could always write out your 7s along the top. 8 times 7 is 56. I've done it again. Forgot to write out my steps. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? Okay. So let me back up. I just get too excited about dividing, I guess. 7 goes into 59 8 times. Divide. Multiply. 8 times 7 is 56. Subtract. 3. 3 is less than 7. We're good. Let's bring down the 5. How many times can 7 go into 5? Let's count by 7s in our head or out loud. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. So that's a 5. 5 times 7, 35. Then we'll subtract. So we have a remainder of 0. Okay, so let's try this. 760 divided by 8. 8 cannot go into 7, but it can go into 76. Again, I would think of it as 8 times 10 is 80. 8 times 9, 72. That'll work. And I bet you thought I was going to forget to write down the steps again. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? 9 times 8, 72. 76 minus 72, 4. 4 is less than 8. I'm good there. Let's bring down the 0. 40 divided by 8, 5. 8 times 5 is 40. So we have a remainder of 0. We did it. That was a marathon, people. We've been dividing for at least 15.5 minutes. Proud of you for working so hard. Again, you could always rewind this if one of them was hard for you. Thank you for hanging in there. Great job.